Hi everyone, I'm Matteo Colina, and today I'm going to talk to you about Fastify. Let's start. So, first of all, this is a very brief introduction. It doesn't want to be a complete thing. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter at Matteo Colina. I typically tweet a lot about Fastify and open source and Node.js and a lot of other things. So you will really, I think you will love it if you have liked this talk, essentially. Let's get into things. So first of all, Fastify, Fastify is a web framework for Node.js. It has a website, fastify.io. You can check it out. It is full of docs. If you want to contribute and improve the docs, please send PRs. Essentially, everything is open source, even the website. Hey, so let's So this goes into highlighting one of the key features of Fastify, which is, to be honest, not a technical feature. Fastify great thing is about its community. And it's the fact that Fastify is a community-owned project. In fact, it's part of the OpenJS Foundation. And it's community-based, so essentially it relies on you to make it great. How? Well, contribute back. That's the key feature of Fastify. We ask everybody that is using it to contribute back as they can. Let's look a little bit at the browser. So Fastify is one of the fastest web frameworks for Node.js. It's been downloaded quite a lot, maybe even 800,000 right now. This slide might be slightly up to date. And it has a lot of collaborators, and it has an ecosystem of 177 plugins. So what are the core values? First of all, open governance and consensus seeking. It's, as you've seen, there is a lot of people, as I said, there's a lot of people being involved in Fastify. We have a lot of collaborators, a lot of people, everybody is heard, and we apply a consensus seeking approach. What does it mean? It means that whenever there is somebody that is trying to land a PR, we try to reach consensus, meaning that we ask, does anybody object to this PR landing or this decision being made? This is one of the key part of the community, so that we don't let everybody fell outside of the community. We also value a lot first-time contributors. So please contribute. We even have a page on our website. Like, you can go to vue.fastify.io and you can see that we have a contribute page here where we can see that there's a lot of open issues those are all good first issues that people can take. So anyway, the concept is about shared ownership of the framework. So if you find a bug, we will ask, would you like to send a PR? We are not selling you anything. So if you want to participate, please participate. In fact, Fastify, all of these, it exists because Fastify was born before any code was actually committed, which is one of the greatest things. When I started thinking about doing a web framework, I decided, well, maybe I can start thinking before doing it, like, it's going to be too big. So because it's going to be too big of a work, I started thinking maybe I can ask, I need to find somebody else to work with me. And this person was Thomas de la Vedova, which was the other lead maintainer of Fastify. We started working on this together when he said, well, I'm interested in developing one, I want to learn. That's how it happened. It started as a learning project. But then sooner, we keep attracting more contributors, and it grew in the production capable framework that it now is. It's, as I said, is a shared effort. Maintaining a web framework is such a gargantuan effort that it's really hard to justify without funding or a company behind it. So how are we taking this approach? Well, we have crowdsourced it. We ask people using the framework to contribute fixes. So if you have a fix, please help send us PR and add unit tests. And this comes in the key part of the co-ownership culture of Fastify. It's not really present in any other web framework, to be honest, like this sense of shared ownership. It's this is everybody's thing. You can look at our governance, and we actually nominate other collaborators very often. We have just nominated a bunch. So, hey, more people, more awesomeness for everybody. Let's go into a little bit of the tech principles of Fastify. So first of all, one of the greatest thing is that we go for zero overhead in production. We don't want to slow things down compared to Node Core. We want a good developer experience as well. Not perfect, like developer experience is one of the key non-functional requirements for a web framework, but we also wanted the performance first. So it's we don't want to compromise on performance. We want the framework to work great for small or big projects alike. So you can use it for small things, you can use it for big things, they both work fine. It needs to be easy to migrate to microservices or even serverless and back. We'll talk a little bit about that later. It needs to be secure and provide built-in data validation. It needs to have a plugin system. In fact, if something could be a plugin, it likely should. Like we tend to keep the core pretty small so that it can actually be solid and solid over time. If we brought more things in, we need to bump the major way more often than what we would like. It needs to be easily testable. It does need to monkey patch Node Core. Unfortunately, this monkey patching is one of the things that happens all the time with other frameworks. And it needs to have semantic versioning and long-term support. Last but not least is follow the HTTP 1.1 spec. So fast, it's in the name, right? How fast is Fastify? Well, these were taken from the Fastify core benchmarks, which is not super reliable, to be honest, mainly because they run on a GitHub Actions. We typically used to run them in a dedicated hardware, but no time this time, no time right now. So here they are. They are pretty neat, and I really like them. So you can read what you want here. It's the situation is as it sounds. It's also loved by developers. Like Fastify, a lot of the developers really like working with Fastify, and this came from the state of JavaScript. Again, this does not mean much. It's a survey that is probably skewed a little bit, but again, it's a good data. It also supports. We also have another project that provides GraphQL support, which is great and it's really fast. So you might want to check that out. Anyway, going back to it, I am having Fastify. It has 43 core plugins and 124 community plugins. It's a lot of plugins. Okay, Fastify is a community. It has a lot of things that you can do that the Fastify framework does on its own, but even more that it does broadly. It's great. So. I just wanted to, before going into a little bit of the technical details, I just want to talk about the target architecture of a Fastify application. Usually, when you're talking about a mean or a MERN application, you have a typically 3-layer system where there is a model, view, and a controller that orchestrate everything. So, the model talks to the database, of course. Now, this is what is called a typical monolithic architecture. So it's very hard to evolve this over time. You have a model, you put all your models together, you put all your controllers together, you put all your views together. You don't have much choice in which you divide your application. Now you can easily reach applications with 2,000 models very easily. And so it's one of the key things here. Now, one of the biggest thing of Fastify is that we wanted to solve is to use a very different structure. So we wanted to have still provide build a framework that enables you to write code in using by features. So instead of having dividing your code in model, view, and controllers, just divide it in by features so that it's actually way simpler for people to discuss things. Now, what you can do is you can say, for example, I have a user and all the things in the user go into the user module. Then I have a lot of things in the cart. The cart goes into its own module. And you can grow things organically in a linear fashion, right? Going horizontally, so that it does not grow vertically, and so it doesn't grow into. Each one of those can maintain complexity very quickly. Can help you maintain complexity. This is a great feature from my point of view, and one of the key things that I really like the most. Now, the target, it's actually moving into a microservices, and we wanted to build I really wanted to build a framework that can help you move from this thing, from a simple system, from a monolith to a microservice system. An MVC pattern does not really get you this far. So think about it. Now, let's go to it in depth. The typical internals of Fastify are using several components as well as other stuff. So key components, key libraries that we are using is Find My Way, which is the router. It's AJV, which is the validator. We'll see that in a moment in an option. Fast.json Stringify, again, used for serializing our responses. It uses Avio, which is one of the key things that I've wrote, which is actually the plugin system itself. Pino, which is the logger. Again, we'll cover all of this. Then there is a key part of functionality that is Fastify own, which is how it manages plugin, how it does hooks, and how decorator works, which is what we're going through right now. So it is the key description of the plugin system of Fastify. Fastify enable you a faster usability via the use of plugins. Essentially, in Fastify, everything can be wrapped inside a plugin. You can have routes, you can have, and in a plugin, you can have routes, you can have hooks, you can have decorators. A plugin creates a new context, a new encapsulated context. So everything you define there will not pollute other contexts. These enable us to keep some sanity in how we reuse our code and our software. So if you call decorate, if you add a new property on inside a plugin, you can only the descendants from that plugin will see that new property. So you can add it to the request, the reply object, or even the server itself, but only the descendants will actually see that property. How do we use it? How can we break the encapsulation? We can use an utility called Fastify plugin, or maybe just attach a symbol on the function. And that will enable you to publish that thing up. More importantly, this applies also for hooks. So for example, we can, Fastify does not have the concept of middlewares, even though we support middlewares. I'll talk that later. We support lifecycle hooks. So essentially, you can say, for example, I want to execute a request when it receives the system after we have done routing. This is the onRequest hook. Inside the onRequest hook, I can perform, for example, authentication. This is a really good place for authentication. However, I can use that system to apply that authentication only for a certain path of routes. Now, I can put all those routes in a plugin on a plugin and add a hook at that plugin level. Hey, that's it. And those will be secure. That hook will not be used outside. This is different compared to a middleware-based approach where you will need to use some very complex regex or something like that to only apply authentication on certain paths and have the middleware execute every single time. We also recommend a kind of a project structure, which is having a file called app.js, having a plugins folder for your reusable things, and then have a routes folder for the rest. So this is what we recommend. You can use whatever you want, really. Note that with all this encapsulation stuff and lifecycle, you can actually get very close to the target architecture I was speaking about. You see that you can move from structuring your application by feature to actually having the multiple plugins. Each one of them maps to a feature in your app. So seems pretty cool, right? It would work. Now, what's the cool thing is that we can also switch to microservices very quickly just by decomposing them. Each plugin, in fact, can be taken and moved out. So it's way simpler that way to move from a monolith to a microservices architecture. We can also use some of the flexibility to embed an Express app. In fact, you can take any Express app and actually run it on top of Fastify. It will just work. In Fastify, logging is a first-class citizen. You can see that Pino is one of the fastest loggers for Node.js. It logs as JSON. This is a good talk about Pino from 2016. But again, I love this talk. Is my David McClemens and myself, we both created Pinot together, where we did this. And Pinot is a fast logger for Node.js with minimal features. It's been downloaded quite a lot, and it has a few collaborators. How do you use Pinot? Well, you instantiate Pinot, and then you log through it. Very simple. You can also create child loggers, which is one of the critical features that we use in Fastify to provide the best of both worlds, essentially. Let's go and talk about serialization. Serialization is one of the features that I really like the most, because it enables us to create JSON way faster than JSON stringify. How? By specifying the format of that JSON. A lot of the cost that we pay for serializing things into JSON, it's because it's free format, right? By providing a schema, we can actually create a very specialized function that can actually render it blazing fast, which is what fast JSON stringify does. And, if you don't really like to write a complex JSON schema, you can even use a library called Fluent JSON Schema that enables you to write it super simple with a Fluent API. It also has TypeScript support, so if you have auto-completion in your editor, you can actually blah, 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 auto-complete it and create things very quickly. As for validation, we use AJV. With AJV, you can define define what type of schema, a body or the query string or the headers is being passed through your application. It's pretty neat. I love it. And finally, the testing, which is another bit that I think needs to be first-class concern, is that Fastify support a .inject method, which enable you to call any of the routes. These can be used for some integrations, but as well as for testing. I use it all the time. I told you about microservices, right? Well, there is also the fact of lambdas. Lambdas are great. And how do we use it? Well, there is a nice utility that uses Fastify inject that we talked about a second ago, and it enables you to actually write a single Lambda application, take any Fastify app and deploy it as a Lambda. So you take it and you can just wrap it, and it will just magically works. So it's just so great. Of course, Fastify also support a .close method if you want to gracefully shut down the process. So, okay, it's I promise you a live coding performance. So let's get started. So you can actually write a server, right? And if you write a server, you can say import Fastify from Fastify. So we can actually, here we go. Oh, I need to actually, slides, here you go. So we can actually Fastify from Fastify. So after this, we can create our app by doing, so call app.listen 3000, and we want to do this because we want to listen to all ports. So if I do node server, and then I can curl localhost 3000, route get not found. Cool, okay. So it seems that we are making progress. So we need to define a route. So we can do app.get, and here we go. And then we can do async function request reply, and then return hello world. Cool, okay. So if I do this, yay, now it's rendering. Nice. How? Well, I also maybe want to log something. So I can do logger true. Oh, it's logging, and then I can do curl. Cool. Okay, so if I want, I can also do npm I Pinot pretty. I'm downloading a module and installing it. Hey, happy days. It's actually pretty neat. So I have Pinot pretty. So now I can do node server npx Pinot pretty. And now I can have prettier logs. So prettier logs for me. Cool. So this is a very simple thing. However, I can't do much with it. Okay. So the first thing that you would do is that we might want to split this into its own routes, into its own route, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit to create a folder, routes, and then edit, copy this, and then said edit routes hello.js. And now I need to do a few things. So I need to say export default async function. I can do things, function app, and here we go. Okay, so I'm running it, and it's still working. Well, it's still working because I haven't changed much. So I also need to change my server. So on my server, instead of doing this, I can do app.register import. Well, what I'm putting in here. So I need to put something. I need, first of all, I need to import join from a nice module that I wrote called DSM. So npm i DSM. And here we go. Oh, I messed up. So import join import meta URL, which is the URL of the current file, and then I want to do routes and then hello. Okay, so now I'm running it. Oh, I missed one. Great. I'm running it. Oh, what I've done. Oh, cannot find. What? Where does it say this? Routes. Hello. Okay, so it's there. Yes. So when you're dealing with ESM, you always need to remember to put in your extension. Always put in your extension. So node server. Oh, so here we go. And then I can curl. And it's now working again. Okay, so we have, in fact, you see we have created our first plugin, which is nice, right? So now if I wanted to keep, like this is not really working and we are a little bit running out of time. So if you wanted to write a unit tests, what I would do here. So first of all, I would split this into two files. And one is called app.js and it just does this export default async function, and what I would do is I would take those two things and I would migrate them here. Okay, in this way I can, this is a factory that will help me create as many Fastify instances as I like, so I can create one for each one of my unit tests, for example. Now, what I would do in here is that I would do, and here I need to return. Here we go. So what I would do in here is that I would import build from app. So here we go, and then do const app await build. I don't even remember if, oh, yes, app.js. I keep stumbling. Here we go. Whoa, it's working. How? Well, because there is top level await, right? It's a thing. So I can, so in server, we have, we can call await from build, and then we call listen. And in build, we are just returning as a factory. Now we'll split those two things. So in a unit test, you could actually load things manually. Now we can take this one tiny step forward in this. So we need to first of all install another plugin called Autoload. And Autoload is a plugin that enables you to create a new to load a folder from your from disk, to load all the files in a folder from disk as plugins. So what we are doing here is that import Autoload from Fastify Autoload. Cool. So what we are doing now is that we are registering Autoload and then telling them to load this folder. Let's see if this works. Oh, what did I miss? This is too much. Oh, oh yes, of course, because we are loading a file, it's not a folder. So here we go. Oh, it seems working. It's loading. Let's see if our route is there. Oh, it's there. Okay. So as you've seen, we have created a structure where I have our server file, which is my entry point, which is using top level await to call import build. And then I have created another file which this is a constructor and the builder for my instance. If I'm going to write unit tests, I am going to use this file to instead of the server one. The server one is only for prod, essentially, or for development. So it's only when we are actually deploying things. I'm using Fastify Autoload to load all my modules that are defined in my routes folder. Pretty neat. You can also set prefixes and things like that. So you can just say, oh, I just want to load all these files in a single module as a thing. So anyway, I just thumbs up. So thank you for watching, and it's been such a big pleasure. My Twitter account is @Matteo. Please ping me and reach me as soon as you have a question for Fastify, and I will be very happy. My DMs are open, by the way, so if you want, please. And I would just say thank you very much. Bye. Bye.